At the Grand Silvercrest Charity Gala, the chandelier sparkled like frozen stars suspended above the marble floor, casting a warm golden glow over the room where the wealthiest families mingled, laughed, and exchanged polite, calculated compliments. Waiters weaved through the crowd with trays of crystal glasses, the orchestra played a soft waltz, and the entire atmosphere shimmered with luxury. But right at the edge of that glittering crowd stood Maya, quiet, modest, and very noticeably out of place. She hadn't planned on attending this gala. In fact, she had spent most of the afternoon debating whether she should even bother. Her dress was simple, lavender with tiny pearls she had hand-stitched herself. Compared to the women shimmering in diamonds and gowns crafted by famous designers, she looked almost invisible. But her husband, Adrian, had insisted she come, telling her gently that she belonged anywhere he did. He had kissed her forehead and promised he would join her soon after finishing some urgent business calls. So she had walked into the mansion with a nervous smile and a tiny spark of hope that the night would go smoothly. It didn't. Within minutes of entering the gala, whispers began swirling around her like cold drafts. Some women glanced at her as though she were a lost visitor who'd taken a wrong turn into a world far richer than she deserved. A couple of men gave her generic nods, unsure whether she was a caterer, a guest, or something else entirely. But Maya kept her composure, holding her clutch tight and wandering near the art display, pretending to be completely absorbed in the paintings. Then came the moment everything shifted. A sharp voice cut through the air like a blade. "Hey! Yes, you in the lavender dress. Come here." It belonged to Clarissa Hawthorne, one of the most influential socialites in the city, the kind of woman who always walked with her chin slightly lifted as if smelling something unpleasant around her. Standing beside her was her friend Beatrice, equally snobbish, her smile thin and mocking. Maya hesitated, glancing behind her to make sure they weren't addressing someone else. But no, the women were staring directly at her with impatient expressions. She approached slowly, confused and uneasy. "Are you staff?" Clarissa asked in a tone that didn't bother hiding judgment. "No," Maya replied softly. "I'm a guest." Beatrice snorted. "A guest? Sweetheart, this isn't a neighborhood potluck. You sure you're not here to help in the kitchen?" She eyed Maya's dress deliberately, the way someone might inspect a low-quality handbag. Maya felt heat spread across her cheeks, but before she could respond, Clarissa stepped closer. "Look, the caterers seem short-handed tonight, and our table needs more plates washed. So go to the kitchen and help them out. Quickly. The gala can't run properly if people like you just stand around doing nothing." "People like me?" Maya repeated quietly, her heartbeat thudding painfully in her ears. "You know, modest dress, unsure posture," Beatrice added with a casual flick of her wrist. "It's obvious you're not one of us. So please don't pretend." The humiliation hit her like a slap. People nearby were beginning to notice. A few glanced over, whispering behind their champagne glasses. She opened her mouth to explain again that she wasn't staff, but Clarissa waved a dismissive hand. "No need to argue. The kitchen is that way. And be sure to wash the dishes well. Some of us actually paid a lot to be here." Something inside Maya cracked, but she swallowed the hurt and tried to maintain her dignity. "I'm not staff," she said again, firmer this time. "I'm here with my husband. He invited me." "Oh, please," Beatrice laughed. "Unless your husband is the valet or the DJ, I doubt he has the authority to invite anyone." Clarissa leaned in with a smirk. "If your husband really brought you, then where is he? Did he go park someone's car?" The words sliced deeper than they knew. Maya felt the air grow tight around her. She wanted to defend herself, to tell them her husband was not only invited but was one of the most important donors of the night, but she also knew Adrian hated unnecessary attention. He valued privacy. And she respected that. "I don't need to explain my husband to you," Maya said softly but clearly. Clarissa's expression hardened. Then I'll explain something to you. This mansion is owned by the family hosting tonight's event. And we are very selective about who comes here. If you want to stay, you help. Otherwise, you leave. Understand? Maya stared at her, stunned at how confidently the woman made a claim she knew nothing about. A bitter, painful irony twisted inside Maya's chest. She wanted to tell her the truth, that the mansion was not owned by Clarissa's friends, that Adrian wasn't just a guest but the very man whose signature paid for the construction of the grand ballroom they were standing in. The entire Silvercrest estate belonged to him. But Maya didn't reveal it. Not yet. Instead, she took a slow breath, her voice trembling with hurt but steady in resolve. You are mistaken. And you're being unkind. Unkind? Clarissa scoffed loudly, attracting even more attention. You're lucky I'm giving you a chance to be useful. Go wash the dishes. Now. A ripple of laughter passed through the nearby crowd. Maya felt her throat tighten, but she refused to let tears fall. She turned away slightly, trying to compose herself, trying to decide whether she should call Adrian, walk out, or stand her ground. Her fingers trembled as she clutched her purse. Behind her, Beatrice muttered loudly, honestly, these people should really know their place. For a moment, Maya closed her eyes. She wanted the night to swallow her whole. She wanted to disappear. But at the same time, a small spark flickered inside her, something sharp, something tired of being underestimated. She didn't know it yet, but Adrian was already on his way into the ballroom. And soon, everyone who mocked her would regret every word. Maya stood near the back hallway of the ballroom, fighting to steady her breathing. The sting of Clarissa's words clung to her like cold rain, threatening to soak through her confidence. She pressed a hand against the wall, taking a slow breath as she debated whether she should simply leave before anyone else noticed her humiliation. But just as she tried to pull herself together, footsteps echoed softly behind her. Adrian entered the ballroom through a side door, adjusting the cuffs of his suit jacket with effortless calm. The moment he stepped inside, the atmosphere shifted. Even without trying, he carried a presence that commanded attention, tall, composed, dressed in a perfectly tailored black tuxedo that made him look like he had stepped out of an upscale magazine. People turned, recognizing him instantly. Adrian Sterling rarely made public appearances, and whenever he did, the room always seemed to stand a bit straighter. But instead of heading toward the clusters of donors eager to greet him, his eyes scanned the room with silent urgency. When he finally spotted Maya near the column, his expression softened entirely, the tension in his shoulders melting in an instant. He walked directly to her, his voice low with concern. Maya? You look pale. What happened? She tried to force a smile, desperate not to ruin his evening, but the moment she opened her mouth, her voice cracked. It's nothing. Really. I'm fine. Adrian frowned, gently touching her cheek. No, you're not. She hesitated. She didn't want to create drama or draw attention. She especially didn't want to embarrass him in front of people who seemed to worship the ground he walked on. But the hurt was still too fresh to hide. Some women, they thought I was staff, she whispered, looking down. They told me to wash dishes. And when I said I was a guest, they laughed. They said I didn't belong here. For a moment, Adrian didn't move. His eyes darkened, his jaw tightened, and the calm, graceful composure he was known for slipped just enough to reveal the anger simmering underneath. Who? He asked quietly, but there was nothing soft about the tone. Maya gently shook her head. Please, just let it go. I want to stay with you. That's all. Adrian took her hands in his, grounding her, steadying her. But he couldn't ignore the storm rising inside him. No one humiliates my wife, he said, his voice controlled but razor-sharp. Not here. Not anywhere. Before Maya could protest, someone approached from behind. Adrian. Finally, you made it. It was Senator Caldwell, one of the key organizers of the charity event. He was smiling widely, unaware of the emotional tension between Maya and Adrian. Everyone's been waiting for you. The board wants to announce your donation. Adrian cut him off politely. Senator, I'll address that shortly. But first, I need some information. Who is managing the guest list and staff coordination tonight? The senator blinked, thrown by the unexpected question. That would be Clarissa Hawthorne and Beatrice Langford. They insisted on overseeing the social coordination for the event. Why? Adrian's jaw flexed slightly. Because they've created a very serious problem. He slipped his hand around Maya's waist, guiding her back toward the main area. She walked reluctantly, her heart pounding. She didn't want a scene. But Adrian was no longer asking permission. The music softened as the orchestra shifted to a slower piece. The air buzzed with soft conversations, the clinking of glasses, and the faint rustle of expensive gowns. Clarissa and Beatrice stood near the center, surrounded by admirers, sipping champagne like nothing in the world could ever disappoint them. When they saw Adrian approaching, their expressions lit up with excitement. They straightened their shoulders, adjusted their jewels, and prepared their most flattering smiles. Clarissa stepped forward first. Mr. Sterling. We've been waiting to greet you. Adrian didn't return her smile. Have you? His voice was calm, dangerously calm, and both women faltered. Maya stood right beside him, her hand resting gently on his arm, though not even she could soften the steel in his posture. Clarissa finally noticed Maya standing there and raised a brow. Oh. You again. Did you take care of the dishes like we asked? Adrian's face turned to ice. A few people nearby overheard and abruptly went silent. Adrian's voice cut through the air like a blade. You ordered my wife to wash dishes? The ballroom froze. Conversations died mid-sentence. Even the orchestra seemed to hesitate. Clarissa's painted smile evaporated. Wife? Your, what? Her eyes widened, finally seeing what she had missed before. The man she had tried to impress, the man she thought she could charm, was standing protectively beside the woman she had mocked. Yes, Adrian said, stepping slightly closer to Maya, making the bond between them unmistakable. My wife. Maya Sterling. The owner of this estate, the co-host of tonight's gala, and the woman you humiliated in front of half the guests. Gasps rippled across the room like a wave crashing against a shore. Beatrice paled. Clarissa's lips trembled as she struggled for words. I didn't know. I thought she was, beneath you. Adrian finished sharply. Unimportant? Someone you could ridicule without consequence? Clarissa swallowed hard, her arrogance collapsing. Mr. Sterling, I apologize. Truly. It was a misunderstanding. Adrian didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His authority was absolute. A misunderstanding is tripping over a name. Not ordering someone to the kitchen because you decided they didn't look wealthy enough to be here. Every attendee watching lowered their eyes, ashamed or scared, uncertain of how far Adrian's anger would reach. Maya tugged gently at his sleeve. Adrian, it's enough, she whispered, not wanting him to lose control. But Adrian wasn't done. Clarissa Hawthorne, he said coldly, you and Beatrice will leave the gala immediately. Both women staggered back, shocked. Leave? Beatrice breathed. You can't, this event needs us. No, Adrian corrected firmly. This event does not need people who treat others like dirt. Security quietly approached, awaiting instructions. Clarissa tried one last desperate attempt. Please, don't do this. Everyone makes mistakes. Yes, Adrian said, but not everyone chooses cruelty. And with that single sentence, he turned away from them. Security escorted the trembling women toward the exit as whispers erupted across the ballroom. Adrian wrapped his arm around Maya once more, pulling her into him. "Are you all right?" he murmured. Maya nodded, tears threatening but this time from relief. "I am now." And as the gala resumed, everyone knew one thing for certain: the woman they had underestimated was the one person the billionaire valued above all, and no one would dare forget it again.